Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Millennial Christian Conversation. I'm David, and this is Darnisha and Timothy. And today we're asking the question: Is forgiveness? Does forgiveness have a place in the courtroom?
And, a little background about the topic from police shootings, and one of the victim's family actually in the courtroom during the trial forgave her, and people were saying that's misplaced, that shouldn't happen. And in my opinion, I guess I can agree and disagree. The forgiveness I can agree with, but the way that it came about in the midst of a trial, I think that is where it's wrong. But forgiveness in itself is correct. We are supposed to forgive. But the way that it happened, I mean, he gave her a hug and all that type of stuff in the middle of the courtroom.
I was at first I didn't remember what situation you were talking about, but now I remember. Yeah, I don't think it was the right place for that to happen, but I understand him wanting or needing to forgive her for what happened. Like Timothy said, I don't think I would do that, but I think I could grow to forgive her for what she did, but I wouldn't have done it in that situation, you know. I don't think the courtroom is the place for that. Forgiveness should happen in your own place or in your own time, or, you know, we're separate, I feel like, from the courtroom, because the courtroom is about justice and it's about law and it's about proving, you know, what was right, or the verdict within the law, not based on, you know, oh, I forgive her. I feel like those are two completely different settings and things that should happen there. So
I would have to say it's circumstantial. The example y'all bringing up is about, I mean, you're talking about the brother of the guy that was killed by the police officer. I mean, that was his personal, you know, act of forgiveness. He forgave her. Far as the justice system forgiving her, which, I mean, you could call it that. I mean, they were very lenient on her sentence. A lot of people would say. I think there is some area for leniency depending on circumstances. Like I said, accidents or you know, things where you know, it wasn't intentional, you know, different type of things like that. As far as, I mean, I think the verdict, whatever the verdict of the case, should be what it is, you know. You know, the verdict should always be just, but the sentencing, if you want to be leniency on the sentencing, depending on the circumstance, the situation, I think that's appropriate. And, you know, you can call it, I don't know if you can call that forgiveness or if you just want to call it leniency, but I think that should have a place in the courtroom.
Well, I wasn't really talking about the justice system being forgiving, but the person, the Christian, forgiving the person. And really, the sentence was extremely light for the crime, in my opinion. Talking about Amber Geiger, I don't understand how you can walk into somebody else's apartment and kill somebody. But, hey, maybe that's just me. So the justice system, I think, failed on that part. But we're talking about the Christian that forgave her in the midst of the trial is what we're talking about.
You saying is it appropriate for Christians to forgive people in court?
Right. The example is all I remember his name was Bolt, James Bolt, I think, or something to that effect. His brother, while on the stand as a witness, I believe, a character witness or something like that, asked the judge if he could go down and give her a hug, saying that he forgives her.
I think forgiveness is for a Christian is appropriate in any place.
I don't.
Yeah,
I disagree. Forgiveness appropriate, even if he forgave her in his own heart or his own mind.
The way he showed
that would have been fine. But you're in the midst of a trial, where this stuff is taken into effect for not only verdict but sentencing as well.
I don't know how the legal justice system shouldn't have any bearing on how we Christians live out our lives and our relationship with Christ. So, if you're asking how a Christian should, are you saying that Christians should display their forgiveness at certain times, or we gotta wait until we behind closed doors or that type of thing?
Not necessarily behind closed doors, but just not in the middle of a trial.
No, I don't.
Where this person is being tried for killing your family member. I don't think that is the right time to do it. Like I said, if he did it within his own self, within his own heart, like, okay, I forgive this lady or whatever. But the way he displayed it at that particular time, I don't think it. Now, if it was outside the courtroom, they was just by themselves, they had a dispute with each other, and they were in the middle of a crowd outside the courtroom, that's fine. But I think because the only reason I say that is because, like I said, it can affect the verdict and the sentencing of that person.
Yeah, I guess that was my question. So did it happen? The hug happened before they had?
Yeah, it was before everything wrapped up.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't think the courtroom should have any bearing on how a Christian should live out their Christianity. If he forgave her, that was, and he felt that he needed to do that was perfectly fine for him as a Christian standpoint, no matter where he is or what was going on. Now, I do believe that the justice system, even though he may have forgiven her, it should have been more, I feel like even in spite of all of that, his forgiveness or whatever, the court, I feel like she should have been sentenced higher. I feel like the judge shouldn't have let him hug her in court, because there's a possibility he might have had some ulterior motive. Somebody else might have took that opportunity and did something else. But far as I think that should be that's separate. What the courtroom should have did was different than what he should have did as a Christian. I thought his actions were appropriate in as far as his relationship with Christ.
So my question to Darnisha and Timothy would have to be why, or explain in more detail why you feel like the place was inappropriate.
Like he said, it was before the verdict had been given. It could have weighed on the opinions of the jury. It could have weighed on the opinions of the judge. That I feel like it wasn't the time or place for that to happen. As a Christian, I feel like it was right for him to forgive her, but I don't think that was the place to show it as outwardly as he did.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is, what you wanted was to make sure that person got the harshest sentence that they could get.
Not necessarily harshest, but
well. Let me rephrase. Let me flip it. Rephrase. Okay. You didn't want them to get a lighter sentence because he displayed forgiveness.
Right. I didn't want that their decision to be swayed because of what he right.
Okay.
Yeah, because what she did was still just as bad, whether or not he forgave her or not.
Right.
So
now, for most of us, and me too, I have serious doubts about what she said and her state of mind and so forth. Mm-hmm. I have serious doubts with understanding how all that could have went down like she said. Mm-hmm. But what if it did? What if she was just overly... Now, I do understand being overly tired and doing stuff and not realizing. I've done that. So what if that's actually the case? She worked too long, didn't realize that wasn't her apartment, thought he was somebody in her house, and it went down like that. What if that actually happened? Would you still want her to get the harshest sentence for an accident?
No.
Because that's
so.
what it would amount to, that it was an accident. She didn't know this guy.
I mean, you still.
And she believed it was her house.
She still did it.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not going to do anything on accident and expect not to get punished for it.
Really?
Not something that harsh. Not something that I'm not going to murder somebody.
Now, well, I mean, we're saying accident. She shot on purpose. But she thought it was her house.
Yeah.
Right.
So would you want to get a harsher punishment if it was you or somebody in your family? For instance, like I said, if I wandered into the wrong house after I've been working all night, and it was somebody in there and I shot him, would you want me to get a harsher sentence? Because I didn't realize that wasn't my house at that moment.
I mean,
and that's what I said. You don't understand it. You've never done that. But I said that's what happened. So would you want the jury to be swayed by the person's forgiveness if it was someone you knew?
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't want them to be
You want me to have a
swayed,
harsh
but
I wouldn't say.
It would be up to the jury whether or not they understood that it was an accident.
I'm talking about what you want.
I can't say
what you just said.
I can't say that I would want the harshest sentence.
I know. I mean, do you want the opposite of what you're saying now?
If I'm being objective, not putting my feelings in it.
But you've been doing that the whole time.
But I'm not though, because I'm saying that those feelings shouldn't sway the verdict of the jury.
No.
Or the sentencing.
What I'm saying, we're talking about your opinion now. We're not talking about the jury.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't know if it did, because again,
we don't know.
We don't know if it's swayed or not. But
there's always that possibility, though. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know that. I mean, well, I guess it's always a possibility. But I guess my issue, and I know it's murder, and I know the guy died. I have a brother who was murdered. And one of the first things I said after, I don't want to know who did it. I don't, once they couldn't find him, I don't want to keep trying to investigate, because none of it's going to help me. None of it's going to change anything for me. If they catch them, and even if I killed them, it wouldn't change anything for me. Except now I'm guilty of murder too. So, I understand. And especially if, I said, I don't know, I have an opinion, but maybe that young guy believed what she said. And he believed it was an accident. He could see how it happened. We don't know his experience, and so we don't know why. But it doesn't, if they gave her even a harsher punishment, that's not going to change anything for his family. And a lot of times, that's how we look at those situations. We want people to get the worst punishment they could possibly get for what they've done. And that doesn't change or help anything. I believe that what he did helped a lot of people. I know it helped me. To see somebody forgive somebody like that, in that situation, in that arena, was an awesome thing for a Christian. Because it goes against, myself. Even though I don't, I'm not out looking for nobody. I wouldn't have been able to do that. And so that's not an indictment on him, it's an indictment on me. Because that's what Jesus would want me to do. And I know a lot of people, looked at, I heard all that, black folk too forgiving, blah, blah. none of that is Christian.
I ain't never heard
The
that.
forgiving isn't my issue though.
And even in public, I mean, what's the best influence? Y'all going behind closed doors doing it, or you doing it on national TV? What's the strongest influence for Christ? That's what the Christian life is supposed to be about. Trying to influence people for Christ.
Okay.
What's the strongest influence for Christ? In private or in public?
In public.
I
But
get that you're saying he could have waited till after the trial, after the verdict, all that kind of stuff. That was the time that he had his platform. And that's the time when he did it.
he would have still had.
And so even if they would have set her free, it wouldn't hurt him. He's already forgiven her. Now, all the rest of these folk, they would have been bothered by it, which they were bothered by what he did. Okay? And so, which we shouldn't be. If he chose to forgive her, if he would have asked the judge to set her free, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. If they can rest at night, they have peace with it, why not? What would be the problem with that? That family, Bolton John's family, had peace with what happened. Now again, I believe if there wasn't some drugs involved, something that might have affected her judgment or her ability to recognize what was real, but you just don't know. And the more you meet people, the more you start realizing, because that there's so many different kind of people, different kind of mindsets, different kinds of things affect people in different ways drastically that may not bother you at all. I have a daughter-in-law who there are certain things that you say would trigger her with fear. And they don't bother me, but they would bother her. And so I have to, I have to be more careful. I'm not as careful, but have to be careful because, certain things may trigger her that doesn't bother me.
I have to disagree with you on one thing. You said that if she would have got a heavier sentence or when used, that it wouldn't change anything. I don't know. I have to say, I think there is some satisfaction in I guess, a certain level of revenge or something like that.
I don't know.
Which I think that's what most people wanted. It was she did something and when the media takes hold to it and gets so big, it's like it's an offense to the whole black culture or whatever you want, black community or whatever you want to call it. And so I think that's what it is. It's like, well, she didn't go to jail. We didn't get the revenge from it, the satisfaction, which is
well. And I speak from
the backlash come from.
I speak from some experience, since I do have a brother who was murdered. But you can talk to somebody else who have people who were murdered in their family close to them, and you ask them how it helped.
Yeah,
because the person. I mean, that's because we're on the outside looking in. You have to wait till it happens to you, to and then find out how that really helped you. For most people, if they be honest, the pursuit of catching the person and convicting them was something that drove them. And once it happened, it didn't change anything. Because now they can no longer even focus on the pursuit. They're now back focused on the dead loved one. And like I said, and I told my father myself, when we had one of the last conversations we had about my brother, I said to him, I already know too much. I already know more than I want to know because I still can't do nothing about it. And if I did, like I say, it's not going to change what I've lost. It's just going to cause me some other problems. And so we're in a culture. We're from a culture. I love westerns. Y'all know I like westerns, and that vigilante justice and eye for an eye stuff. That's kind of stuff I grew up watching on westerns and so forth. And that's kind of always what we kind of think we want until we get in those real life situations. I mean, you just don't know until you go through it. To be honest with you, I know that's what we think we want. And even if let's say we're not talking about murder anymore. Let's say we're talking about robbery. Somebody robs you. You feel like you want them to be punished to the fullest extent for robbing you. But what about when you stole the candy out the store? How would you want to be punished?
How I want, how I should is two different things.
Didn't say should. We talking about want. That's what we talking about y'all's opinion.
I'm not talking
about forgiveness. We talking about y'all's opinion because what
I'm not saying,
even if it costs. I'm always for, because of my life and what I've done in my life, I'm always for mercy.
I have no.
In real life.
Mm-hmm.
Now in movies I root for people, But in real life I'm always for mercy. Because I've done too much not to really appreciate mercy.
Again, I have no issues with forgiveness. I have no issues with him forgiving her.
No, I'm talking about the effect of the forgiveness. I'm talking about if it caused the judge to say, well, okay, since he displayed such forgiveness and grace and mercy, then I can do that too. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I would.
You said that more than once.
Yeah, because whether I or he forgave her or not, it still should be some consequences, and going free shouldn't be one of them.
She didn't go free.
I know she didn't, but in that scenario you just said, that's what I'm talking about. I know she got locked up, but I'm just saying, forgiveness should not or does not, in my opinion, exclude you from the consequences. And so that's, like I said, that's my only issue with that whole scenario. Forgiveness, I love that he forgave her. I do.
Don't sound like
I just hate that he did it in the midst of a trial.
No, I don't think there was any better place to do it. And now, of course, these are just our opinions. How you think Jesus felt about it?
I think it's right up what Jesus wants us to do. I do believe that. Because actually when I was looking up scriptures for forgiveness, I think it was something like almost 100 scriptures in the Bible in the total Bible about forgiveness. Whether God forgiving us or we forgiving other people. So I absolutely think that's what God wants us to do. Absolutely.
Okay. And that that's one step away from what Jesus did. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That didn't mean they didn't know they were crucifying him. That's not what he was talking about when he said they don't know what they're doing. They absolutely knew they had beat him all night long. They had lied on him. They had tried him illegally. And now they were killing him. They absolutely knew that. But Jesus' prayer was, Father, forgive them. So, this didn't happen to the young man that's in our example. It happened to his brother. But he was just one step away from that when he said, "I forgive you." And so it seemed like then we need to continue to strive and work to be more like Jesus. And as hard as that was to see and to swallow for some of us who believed she was guilty of more than what they found her guilty of, his actions were still more like Jesus.
Well, this has been another episode of Millennial Christians Conversation. If you have any comments or topic that you would like us to discuss, please drop them in the comment box and we'll try to touch on that in one of our discussions. Thank you.